In 1923 Tennessee, two young boys, Rafe and Dany, are playing as World War I soldiers with a dilapidated biplane. They pause to watch Rafe's father perform aerial maneuvers around their farm. After he lands, the boys clamber into his plane to continue their game, but inadvertently start the engine. The plane lurches forward uncontrollably for several minutes, with the panicked children eventually managing to halt it in a field. Upon their return, Dany's father angrily drags his son away, striking him for associating with Rafe and calling him a stupid, illiterate boy. Rafe retaliates by hitting the man with an old propeller, calling him a dirty German. Dany's father reveals that he fought against the Germans in the war and expresses his hope that no one else will ever witness the horrors he did before walking away. Dany then tells Rafe he is his best friend and follows his father. By 1941, World War II is raging. Dany and Rafe are now first lieutenants in the Army Air Corps, known for their flashy and daring piloting skills. While their squadron is impressed, their commanding officer, Major Doolittle, is not amused. One afternoon, Doolittle informs Rafe of his acceptance into Britain's Eagle Squadron, presenting him with a choice: remain with the American forces or go to London. When Rafe seeks his advice, Doolittle admits he would choose London. Later, Rafe misleads Dany by claiming Doolittle assigned him to London, rather than admitting he volunteered. Dany is nonetheless upset, as he had always envisioned them fighting side by side and trusts no one else to protect him. On a train to New York, a nurse named Evelyn and her friends are discussing their experiences in the military. Evelyn recounts a romance she had with Rafe 4 weeks prior, calling them the most romantic days of her life. They met when he came in for an eye exam, during which it became clear he struggled to read. Rafe had dyslexia but possessed perfect vision otherwise, so Evelyn passed him. Later, while administering a shot, they connected over their shared experience of having fathers who were veterans, but Rafe's flirting continued. He suddenly became ill, and Evelyn realized he had used another soldier's medical chart just to see her again. A second inoculation caused him to faint, and he hit his nose on the way down. That evening, Rafe waited for Evelyn outside the hospital with champagne. She tended to his still sore nose, and they shared their first kiss. When the train pulls into the station, Rafe is waiting for Evelyn, holding a small origami bird. He has brought his teammates along and introduces them to Evelyn's friends, so they can all enjoy a night at a club. The soldiers' attempts to charm the nurses are clumsy at best. While the others are occupied, Rafe and Evelyn slip away to the harbor, commandeer a police boat, and head for a nearby luxury cruise ship. They kiss on the ship's rising platform, but they accidentally hit the lever, causing the platform to plummet into the water, though they manage to hang on. Back at her hotel, Rafe confesses that he is going to London and that he volunteered. He promises to return for her and asks that she not see him off at the station, fearing it would be too painful. As a parting gift, Evelyn gives him her scarf. The next day, Dany is there to say goodbye to Rafe. Evelyn does arrive at the station, but she is too late, and Rafe only catches a glimpse of her from the train window. As the war intensifies, the British Royal Air Force struggles to control the skies. Rafe is assigned a plane riddled with bullet holes and stained with the blood of its previous pilot, who managed to land before succumbing to his injuries. In the United States, the president insists to his staff that they must increase their support for Europe to defeat the Nazis. In reaction to this, Japan begins to formulate a plan to cripple the American Pacific Fleet at Pearl Harbor. Evelyn's nursing unit and Dany's squadron are both reassigned to Pearl Harbor, where pilots are personalizing their planes with nose art. Over the following weeks, Evelyn and Rafe maintain their connection through letters, describing their separate lives. Rafe writes about the difficulty of forming friendships when men are dying in battle every day, but he takes pride in leading his team effectively and remaining undefeated. The U.S. continues to deploy fleets to the Atlantic, much to the displeasure of one admiral. Japan secretly photographs these movements and prepares torpedoes for a massive assault. One day, an air raid siren sounds at the London base, and Rafe's team scrambles to their planes for another engagement. Their teamwork is flawless, and they quickly shoot down several enemy aircraft. However, an enemy plane gets behind Rafe and damages his aircraft, causing an oil leak. A fire erupts, blinding Rafe, and he finds himself trapped by a jammed canopy. He shatters the glass with his pistol, but before he can bail out, his plane is hit again and spirals down, crashing into the sea. Meanwhile, in Hawaii, Dany is at a boxing match on a newly arrived naval ship, placing bets on the outcome. The soldiers are all cheering loudly, and Dany is thrilled when his chosen fighter wins. The celebration is cut short when he receives devastating news. A short time later, Dany finds Evelyn to tell her that Rafe was killed in action. They bond over their shared sense of loss, and Dany learns that his friend had, in fact, volunteered for the mission. Rafe's old squadron and the nurses later gather to drink a toast to Rafe's memory. A few days later, a heartbroken Evelyn receives the last of Rafe's letters. Japan continues its preparations, sending out decoy messages to its own troops, aware that the U.S. is monitoring their communications. American intelligence senses that something is amiss. 3 months later, Dany and Evelyn are spending more time together, finding solace in their mutual grief. After Evelyn leaves her handkerchief at a restaurant, Dany returns it to her at the nurses' quarters. They agree to see each other more often, though Evelyn expresses some hesitation. The next day, the other nurses encourage her, telling her it's okay to move on. At home, Evelyn packs away Rafe's letters and the origami bird, saying a final farewell. In Washington, D.C., intelligence officials discover that the Japanese fleet has vanished and cannot be located by their planes, arousing extreme suspicion. At Pearl Harbor, Dany has grown into a competent team leader. When Evelyn comes to see him, he confesses to his friends that he feels guilty for falling for his best friend's girlfriend, but they urge him to let go of his guilt. Dany then takes Evelyn for a flight, and they watch the sunset together from the air. Upon their return, they find a secluded spot in a parachute hangar and become intimate. The following morning, Evelyn expresses some doubt about their actions, but Dany reassures her, and they decide to begin a relationship. Over the next several days, Dany and Evelyn are happy together. Both Japan and the U.S. continue their intelligence operations, relying heavily on guesswork to interpret the information they gather. Fleets and aircraft on both sides are constantly repositioned to keep the other off balance. One evening, while working at the hospital, Evelyn looks up and is stunned to see Rafe standing there. At the same time, Dany receives a letter from him explaining what had happened. Rafe had survived the crash and, motivated by thoughts of Evelyn, found the strength to escape the sinking plane and swim to the surface. He was rescued by a French fishing boat and spent months recovering in France. A tearful Evelyn moves to kiss Rafe but then pulls away, overwhelmed by guilt. Just then, Dany finds them, and upon realizing the situation, Rafe walks away. Later, Rafe reunites with his teammates at a bar and recounts his ordeal. When Dany arrives, Rafe makes a sarcastic toast in his honor. An argument erupts, with Dany reminding Rafe that everyone believed he was dead. Rafe, feeling betrayed, suddenly punches him. Other soldiers try to intervene, but the two friends continue to fight, destroying much of the bar. The arrival of the military police sends everyone scattering. Rafe and Dany escape in a car, driving until they find a quiet place to talk. Dany wants to reconcile, but Rafe sees no way for things to return to how they were. The next morning, the Japanese military is poised to begin its assault. The American army intercepts messages indicating that peace negotiations have failed and that Japan is destroying its code machines. Radar operators notice a large blip, but dismiss it as too large to be aircraft. The Americans anticipate an attack but are unsure of the target. Soon, Japanese planes arrive over Pearl Harbor. Some pilots flying low attempt to wave at unsuspecting civilians. Once over the base, they unleash a devastating barrage of weapons. Caught completely by surprise, everyone scrambles amidst the explosions to mount a defense. Rafe and Dany, awakened by the chaos, immediately drive to join their squadron. American battleships explode one after another, taking entire crews with them. Those who survive the initial torpedo hits are cut down by machine gun fire that targets every functioning ship. At the nurses' quarters, Evelyn witnesses the attack and urges her friends to get to the hospital. Many are killed as they run through the streets. Japanese planes strafe the barracks, killing soldiers in their beds. Bodies begin to pile up across the harbor, and men watch their comrades die in their arms. Survivors on the few remaining ships man the anti-aircraft guns and manage to shoot down a plane or two, but they are hopelessly outmatched. American pilots running for their planes are also targeted, and most are killed before they can take off. A few soldiers return fire with any weapon they can find, even climbing onto rooftops for a better angle, but they are quickly eliminated. Soon, the planes on the ground are also destroyed, adding to the carnage. Dany and Rafe leap from their car and navigate the explosions and gunfire, desperately searching for a functional plane. At the hospital, doctors and nurses are forced to move patients away from the windows as the building itself comes under attack. They use mattresses as shields against falling debris as the walls begin to crumble. After a frantic search, Rafe and Dany find a building and make a phone call to request reinforcements, but a nearby explosion severs the lines. Dany leads Rafe and a group of soldiers back to his car, explaining that there is a small, undamaged airstrip nearby. Planes pursue them, strafing the car with gunfire, but the men duck and avoid being hit. On the shore, ships continue to sink and soldiers fall into the water. Those who attempt to swim are machine-gunned by the planes. Some men find shelter beneath overturned hulls, while others are trapped and slowly drown. At the hospital, the staff is forced to use unconventional spaces like the kitchen to treat the wounded. Amid the chaos, their ability to provide care is severely compromised. Meanwhile, the group in the car reaches the last intact airfield and grabs all available weapons. They are eager to fight back, but Rafe makes them hold their fire to avoid revealing their position. When the Japanese planes pass by without spotting them, Rafe orders them to open fire as the enemy looks away. The Japanese pilots immediately return fire, killing several soldiers. A devastated Dany watches a friend die, and Rafe has to pull him to safety. Seizing their chance, the group runs for the remaining planes. Japan quickly realizes what is happening and destroys several aircraft, but Dany and Rafe manage to take off in the last two, vowing to work together as they did in the past. They get airborne just as the enemy demolishes the hangar. Employing their old tactics and perfect coordination, the duo soars over the base, taking down as many Japanese planes as they can. Men on the ground provide supporting fire, shooting at any planes that try to disengage. The two pilots then fly to the harbor, where their teamwork allows them to defeat several more Japanese aircraft. Having lost the element of surprise, the enemy is forced to withdraw. At the hospital, with insufficient staff and supplies, they cannot save everyone. Evelyn is instructed to triage patients, separating the salvageable from the hopeless. Civilians begin to arrive, and the nurses are heartbroken to see the body of one of their own among the dead. Soon, rescue boats are launched to search the waters for survivors, but they find mostly bodies. Rafe and Dany stop at the hospital to donate blood, creating a tense moment with Evelyn. They then join a rescue team attempting to cut into an overturned ship to save the men trapped inside. Tragically, their tools are not fast enough, and the last of the men perish. The next day, the U.S. president addresses the nation and officially declares war on Japan. His advisors are wary of his plans, but the president rises from his wheelchair to demonstrate that anything is possible. After a memorial service for the fallen, Evelyn speaks privately with Rafe and learns that he and Dany will be joining Major Doolittle on a secret mission. Evelyn then reveals that she is pregnant with Dany's child, telling Rafe that while she will give Dany her whole heart, a part of her will always love him. Later, Evelyn sees the men off, and Rafe gives Dany his blessing to be happy. As they part, Evelyn promises Dany that she will wait for him and not leave him for Rafe. When the two friends reunite with Doolittle, they learn they have been awarded the Silver Star and promoted to captain. Doolittle informs them that their secret mission is exceptionally dangerous with a low chance of survival, but they are determined to fight for their country. Later, Rafe burns Evelyn's letters and tries to persuade Dany to withdraw from the mission. Unaware of the baby, Dany refuses to back down. The secret mission team trains for months and is ready for action in 1942. Doolittle delivers a rousing speech as mechanics strip unnecessary weight from their planes to increase their speed. After a few test flights, the planes are loaded onto American aircraft carriers. Doolittle reveals their target is Tokyo. Due to the long flight, they will need to refuel in China, and he teaches them a simple Chinese phrase, "I am an American." Rafe and Dany express concern about being outnumbered, but Doolittle assures them there is a plan. Back at the base, Evelyn gets a friend to allow her into the communications room so she can monitor Rafe and Dany's progress. Doolittle briefs his team, surprising them by announcing he will be flying with them, against the wishes of his superiors. Unfortunately, the Japanese Navy detects their fleet earlier than anticipated. Doolittle's intelligence team intercepts this information, and the Americans rush to prepare. Unable to reach their planned refueling stop in China, they will not have enough fuel for the entire mission. They begin jettisoning even more weight from the planes. Rafe and Dany shake hands, promising to be careful. The team consists of expert pilots, and they all manage to successfully take off from the carrier's short runway. Upon reaching the factories in Tokyo, they begin their bombing run, destroying several buildings. Japanese soldiers scramble to their anti-aircraft guns and return fire, severely damaging many of the American planes and killing their crews, further reducing their small number. The surviving planes do their best to evade the anti-aircraft fire and press on. They are now flying blind, as the carrier that launched them has also been sunk. They lose contact with the base, and Evelyn can no longer hear what is happening. Nearly out of fuel, the team fears they won't make it, but Rafe spots rice paddies below, and they agree to attempt a landing. Tragically, Rafe's propellers fail, and his landing becomes a fiery crash. As flames engulf the wreckage, the survivors emerge only to be met by a Japanese patrol that opens fire. Rafe and his men take cover and shoot back, seeing no hope of escape. Just then, Dany's plane appears, strafing the field and cutting down most of the Japanese soldiers in seconds. But then his plane runs out of fuel and crashes nearby. Concerned for their friends, Rafe's team breaks cover and runs across the field, firing at any enemy soldiers hiding in the tall grass. Rafe finds Dany with a piece of shrapnel in his neck and tries to help, but he is struck from behind by an enemy. The Japanese soldiers surround the survivors and begin to tie them up. Rafe spots a fallen gun and opens fire, killing several more opponents before his ammunition is spent. As the enemy prepares to execute him, Dany throws himself in front of Rafe, shielding him with his own body. The other American soldiers use the distraction to grab a grenade and eliminate the last of the Japanese soldiers. Rafe rushes to Dany's side and tells him about the baby, hoping it will give him the will to live. But Dany tells Rafe that he should be the father now, and he dies in his friend's arms. A short time later, the Chinese army finds and rescues the group. When Rafe returns to the United States, Evelyn is overjoyed to see him, but her happiness turns to grief when she realizes the coffin they are carrying holds Dany's body. All the survivors of the Pearl Harbor attack, including nurses and doctors, are awarded medals for their bravery, becoming an inspiration for the nation as it mobilizes for war. In time, Evelyn gives birth to her son and names him Dany. Rafe becomes his father, taking him flying in honor of Dany's memory. Make sure to subscribe and turn on notifications so you can watch more videos like this. Thanks for watching.